Hello everyone, it's Darkseeker here again. Welcome back for another video. Today I'm playing TRiPz's Odd Rogue on the Wild Mode ladder. Now TRiPz is a Twitch streamer that I follow. Very entertaining streamer, very knowledgeable Hearthstone player, and this Odd Rogue deck is his own creation. Specifically, he has included Ziliax in the deck. I'm a big fan of Ziliax. It's a very flexible card with Divine Shield, Taunt, Lifesteal and Rush. Very good card to help answer a range of different situations. Lotheb is another really cool inclusion in the deck. I'm a massive fan of Lotheb. It's just great at blocking spell-based classes from doing something on the following turn that could save them or clear the board. Lotheb is just a great card that can just win games outright. Now, those of you that have followed my channel know that Rogue is one of my least played classes. I don't get along with rogue decks quite often, and if I'm going to play a rogue deck, I've got to be able to win with it, and this is certainly a deck that I have managed to win games with. So far, a 73% win rate with a small sample size of games. But for me, that's still a pretty big number of games, given how I have a tendency to move between decks quite quickly. So this deck has performed well for me. I guess what you're looking for is a good one-drop, something like a Southsea Deckhand maybe, or a Swashbuckler, to bring out patches, equip your weapon on turn 2, then on turn 3 play a good 3-drop, like, I don't know, Southsea Captain to buff up your pirates, or Hench Clan Thug, swing with your weapon, buff the Thug. If you get that kind of a start, your chances of winning the game increase dramatically, because you just get the tempo going, you get the aggression rolling as well, and maybe your opponent can't come back from that. So we're going to have a look at a few games of this deck in action on the Wild Mode ladder as I try to get my head around the deck and I try to learn how to play it. TRiPz has been my inspiration behind this deck. I've watched him play it on his stream and tried to learn as much as I could. But sometimes, yep, worthy of a screenshot certainly, you celebrate because you get a one-cost Buccaneer in your hand and you think, great, I'm going to use that to bring out Patches. And then Patches decides he wants to show up to the party early, and there he is. That's very unfortunate.
None will survive.
And that's been happening to me more and more often, actually. The more I've played this deck, the more Patches has decided to show up too early to the party. Really annoying. But what can you do? So, I guess now we just hero power. And next turn, we can decide between the Charging Horse and the Buccaneer. Because we can fit in a Buccaneer and a hero power next turn. That's pretty decent. And actually, it may be worth playing the Buccaneer here, so we can get a clean kill on the Acolyte. This warrior playing Acolyte of Pain would perhaps suggest to me that he's some kind of a control warrior. Maybe a warrior that plays Dead Man's Hand, perhaps? And looks to go infinite with his cards, all the while controlling the board with shield slams and brawls. Is that what we're up against here? Yeah, so Cold Light Oracle. So there's every chance that this dude plays Dead Man's Hand in his deck. So I guess we just try to push as much pressure as we can early here, while we still can.
Justice is mine.
I guess I'd rather have the deckhand on board rather than trading it into the Cold Light. 4 bodies on board. This seems relatively solid. Wow, weapons project. Oh, and my weapon gets buffed. Pretty amazing. And we can buff it again with Greenskin. This is not bad.
Justice is mine.
Wow, that is a really beefy weapon. If he has another weapons project spell, he may want to cast it again just to get rid of this weapon. But you can see the pressure being kept up here with this deck. It's his turn 5. And oh, there's Ziliax. And he's in a lot of trouble. And this is fine because he still tanks 5 damage here. Now I really want to deny him. The healing from Ziliax. Because I think that's really pertinent. I think it's really relevant here.
Justice is mine.
So now his turn 6, he's down to 7 health. He could be looking to brawl perhaps. And then clear up what remains if he can. No? Goes for armor. That's a lot of armor. Wow. That is a lot of armor. So Brown Bronzebeard, seemingly a bit of a problem here. Oh, Brawl. Somehow I don't think we're going to need to use Brawl in this particular game. But yeah, we have to kill Bran. It's too problematic. Beyond that though, this is a pretty weak turn for me. So the question is, do I want to commit a Valspine just as a body on the board? We can kill a 2-2. And Zos first mate, that's not what I wanted to see. So now we'll keep the Valspine in hand, just in case he's running taunts. And that's a top deck Brawl. Pretty good for him. These draws are not really the draws that I want to see. Firefly, it's just not really good enough here. But maybe buffing up this weapon creates enough pressure for us to keep pushing. The longer this game goes, the bigger the advantage for him, unfortunately. Yeah, and he's just doing a really good job now of keeping the board clear, gaining armor. Oh, there's Leroy. And so that's 9 damage. It's not enough. So I just need to keep whacking him in the face. And go from there, I guess. Playing a lowly 1-2 minion onto this board and passing just feels really, really bad. But my hand is full of utility. Valspine, Owl. Maybe I should just have played the Valspine as a body on the board. So maybe this is a misplay on my part. Because if he does have a taunt or something substantial, I do have an Owl that can get through. So maybe I should have committed the Valspine just as a 3-4 body onto the board. Well, that's a really good pickup. I see. So now that I've got Lotheb down,
justice is mine.
I'm feeling pretty good about our next turn, because if he can't clear Lotheb, we have Leroy in hand. Plus a weapon that's going to be equipped. We may be able to find lethal. We may be able to find lethal. because armoring up for 2 isn't going to be enough. It needs something like a shield block here, just to get a little bit more armor. 7 cost execute, fine. And that's actually pretty good. It stopped him developing something else onto the board. Still can't kill him with Leroy here. But we're just gonna commit 2 minions to the board here. 2 utility cards that don't impact the board in any way, shape or form, but they're 2 bodies that can hit his face next turn. So if I'd committed the Vile Spine on an earlier turn, would I have found a way to get lethal a bit earlier perhaps? That's an important question to ask. He may be looking at this, and he may be thinking he's still safe, because he doesn't know I've got Leroy. Oh wow, that's a Yogg. Wow. You don't see Yogg played very often. And this Yogg is really going to town here. Now, the disadvantage of having played Yogg is that he couldn't armor up. Wow, this Yogg with a divine shield. Wow, that's something. But yeah, now he's just dead. We have the owl in hand. We have the Leroy. Yeah. Not an easy dead, but there's a bit of overkill as well. Overkill by 1 damage. Feels good. So Yogg was not enough to save him. And there's rank 3. Feels good. Okay. This next game is against a priest. Now, I see a 1-drop, I see a 3-drop. That makes me happy. Thankfully, in this game, we haven't drawn patches into our opening hand.
None will survive.
Now, at this rank, it's probably Big Priest. So, what I've learned is that if you can pressure them early, if they don't have Barnes on 4... Oh, Novice Engineer. Okay, it's not Big Priest. But with Big Priest, if you can pressure them early, if you can avoid being the victim of Barnes on 4, or Barnes on 3 with the coin, you stand a really good chance of winning with this Odd Rogue deck. But that was a Novice Engineer. So, what kind of a priest deck is this? Cold Light Oracle. Huh. Well, you just draw me more cards, I guess. I should be thankful. In all honesty, you don't really want to draw me cards. I mean, I just use those cards to kill you. And I've invested heavily now into my board, using that buff, Cold Blood, there, hoping that he doesn't have... Okay, he has a way of answering it. Sometimes that's just how you win with this deck. You take a little risk, a little gamble, your opponent can't answer it, and you just win from there. And we have Lyra in hand as well. That is pretty cool.
Justice is mine.
Swashbuckler is a card I have mixed feelings about. Quite often I get useless spells, useless cards, useless minions from Swashbuckler. Sometimes they're just unplayable even. So I have mixed views on that card. And given that we've seen Cold Light Oracle and Novice Engineer, I'm of the view that this guy is playing some kind of a Mechathune priest at rank 3. That is pretty mental, actually. But yeah, Lotheb hopefully blocks out any kind of a spell-based comeback here, if he's running Light Bomb.
At last.
Oh, it's Kazakus. Okay, so this is Reno Priest with Novice Engineer. Is that... And Cold Light Oracle. Is that a thing? Does Reno Priest run those cards? I'd assumed it was Mechathune Priest just because he wanted to draw through his deck as quickly as possible, but oh well. So how much damage is this? Do we even count? Do we even need to count? That's lethal.
This guy's toast.
Wow, just like that. So, if you don't have Reno on 6, you're pretty screwed against this deck. Okay, one final game, and we're going up against a priest. This is probably going to be a big priest, although that's what I said last time. We have our 1-drop, and we have our 3-drop. That makes me very happy. So it looks like this game will follow the same simple formula: hero power on 2, thug on 3.
Justice is mine.
Now, we've drawn a Cold Blood, so there could be an opportunity to put Cold Blood onto the Horse Rider there. Oh wow, Dirty Rat. Well, this is not a big priest. In some ways that makes me happy. That does make me happy. It means that at the very least we don't have to contend with Barnes on 4 into something stupid that we can't then deal with once he gets his resurrection effects going. But Dirty Rat here has basically eaten up most of our board. We're left with this sole Hench Clan thug. And that Shadow Visions is probably discovering a Shadow of Death for his next turn. So it could just be time to go all in with the Argent Horse Rider, to put the Cold Blood on, and not buff the Hench Clan Thug, to keep it at 4 attack. Because priests really struggle to deal with 4 attack minions.
Don't worry, love.
So this is what we're going to do. If he has Shadow of Death, he can use it on the horsey, fine. But at least my Hench Clan Thug is going to live for another turn. But this is a lot of damage that we've been able to do. It's only turn 4, and he's already lost half of his health. That's really significant.
I must consider.
So we saw the Dirty Rat. I'm going to assume it's another Reno Priest. So presumably he could have a Kazakus here on turn 4. But is that just too slow?
I wonder.
Because he could just be dead. Obviously dependent on what I have in hand and dependent on what I draw, he could just be dead.
Well played.
So he needs to find some way to gain substantial healing on this turn. But with 4 mana, unless he runs, I don't know, Greater Healing Potion, it's probably not going to be possible. So he's mousing over his hero power, thinking about what to do here. If all he does here... Oh! Eternal Servitude! Is this Big Priest? As though we just saw an Eternal Servitude on a Dirty Rat. How interesting. So it's probably not Big Priest so much as it is something like a Mind Blast Res Priest that plays Prophet Velen and Malagos and then aims to resurrect those minions with Spellstones and Servitudes. Oh, Greater Healing Potion. Okay, that's what he got from Shadow Visions. Interesting. And all of a sudden, this priest is making a bit of a comeback. This is quite exciting. But he's still dead.
Justice is mine.
He's still very much dead. So Cold Blood on Argent Horse Rider turns out to be a game-winning setup. Okay, so TRiPz's Odd Rogue deck. Strangely, in this video, you didn't really get to see the magic of Ziliax, but what you did get to see is this deck absolutely dominating within those first 6 turns and just ending games very, very quickly. So if you are looking for a solid deck to ladder up with, a deck that is performing very well against a lot of the other tier 1 decks, then this is the deck for you. It's not the cheapest of decks. I mean, Baku is a legendary, you've got Ziliax, Lotheb, Leroy, Greenskin, those are all legendary cards, so it's not the cheapest of decks to construct, but if you have the cards, then it's certainly a deck that performs very, very well. So, thank you very much for joining me, everyone. Thank you to TRiPz's for the deck, and I'll see you all again very soon for more Wild Mode fun.